The three things I love about girls and women. The three of those things being less headsy, very grateful, and improvisational. We're starting with uh, very grateful because I missed the word. That's whatever. Anyways, uh, very grateful. We can make all the shit meme jokes about all we want about women who have statistically been on the worst possible sides of mankind known to that humankind. Where it's like yeah, we can look at all the negative examples if we focus on them, but from what I understand from both my attitude and also my other own perspective, at least, the females I've understood to observe have made a good deal about how they handle who they are. They compared to men who very much, and all three of the things also contrast for men. So it's like in my opinion, but men who have to like improvise and be a little bit creative with pulling things out of their butt because they have to do it at the last second, or even if they did prepare, how men had to like find ways to like not be overwhelmed by the things that they didn't have to put up with at first. So they had to like pull things out of the invisible tote bag, and it's like yeah, women have to work. Usually, girls and women especially, they have to work with like a subset of what's already there and pull from a pool of things that have already existed, and use them in unorthodox ways, and that builds and fends out from their own creativity. And that I applaud them for that because it's very difficult to have to do even what I do as a guy, having to like worry about being extra invisible creativity kind of thing. But they, on the other hand, they have to like freaking like they have to know that what exists is still enough, and still using it creative in unorthodox ways. And it's like uh, I'm not trying to be sexist with that. This is just my opinion, but it's like a um, yeah, girls and women who are having to like be creative and resourceful and grateful with how they use what finite or seemingly restrained resources they have, and make the most of what's there. That to me is a very grateful way to live. And so yeah, next one we have is less headsy, or in other words, less neurotic, which is still in other words, uh, men particularly are very conscientious and neurotic. We are very, 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 very much in our own heads and minds and thoughts and logics and all that, and even connected to action rotations that may be. The reason we think about women who talk too much is because they're expressive. Like I'm a guy who talks a lot, so I don't even need to talk about that in itself. But it's like I'm a guy who talks all the time, but that's how air signing I can be. Shout out to the zodiac. But I'm a water sign though, but whatever. I'm just a general tendency Aquarius, but it's men who tend to be very much in their own minds all the time, trying to logicalize everything in their own surrounding realm, and see if they can logic their way or act their way at any situation, and thinking that that's the right way to do it, and even the simple way to do it. And it's not even necessarily all the time, as even per principles for that matter. Women are just very much expressive. That's not supposed to be an excuse, but that's the way I would put it. Is that they're just expressive, and they feel and sense their way around things. So when they know that they don't have to say anything or even do anything in a certain situation, it's not because they're dismissing those things. They're not trying to. It's just like the energy that they can put into perspective that they have sensed isn't meaning to be something that they have to be in their own heads for. Girls and women, it's like a their abstraction of thought is already different to begin with. But you have these women and girls who are just like, again, with their creativity, a lot, almost if not all women are creative. Like don't play with me, but like and in some shape or form. But it's those abstractions of thought and those expressions of self very much make girls and women very special. And the fact that they don't have to be neurotic or conscientious to do that is another thing to point out. It's like they don't have to be in their head to make a decision, which is an obvious way to see it, but just but it's still like the way they can just intuit and be intuitive and actually very good at their scope, their radius of knowing in their realm. This is honestly why a lot of females tend to be spiritual, but it's like it's not even supposed to be like a red pill MGTOW way of seeing it. It's more like you have a because it's not just the women. It's there's a plenty of men, myself included, who are very much spiritual, and even per the phrase spiritual, but not so much religious. I'm still somewhat religious, anyways, but it's like definitely spiritual for sure. But it's like a even compared to modern religion. But it's like that's another story. But it's like even the propagation of that. It's these women and girls who find for themselves that they can think things through. They can still be themselves, but they can think things through as is applicable. Because there are plenty of ways to see men and women as different from their cliche hierarchies and personality traits. Because there are men who are emotional, like me. There are women who are good thinkers, like any other people I know in my life. There are women who are good philosophers and leaders, and there are men who are good. I shouldn't have to say breadwinner because that's still too cushy for the same sex. But it's like men who are good, intuitive, and creative people. It's happened before. I'm even that example myself as again, creative, intuitive, very much so. Not even to compete with other women. Oh, I'm every woman I could. But yeah, and so like that. Lastly, we got the improvisational, or was it improvisational? It was less headsy, more grateful. Um, Invitational. It was invitational. So invitational women and girls, they tend to like. There's a lot of men by the standard and the generalization, which is unfortunately true to an extent. Of there's these men who are very straight to the point. World only cares about results. If I don't get what I want, I'm not gonna stay. Kind of, and it does not have to be make time a red pill, but like or it's like it's another thing with like how you just how a lot of the aspect shows for because the way that even true emotional independence works or financial independence, whatever that works, because financial independence is more like a nine of pentacles in the tarot, and then you have a nine of cups being emotional independence. And the reason that you get from 7, 8, 9, and 10 and cups for like for pentacles, I guess they were for pentacles, but like for 7 of cups, 8 of cups, 9 of cups, 10 of cups in the tarot. The reason it's in that order is because 7 of cups is when you're able to explore your options. 8 is when you're fine without them. 9 is when you meet the vibration of true love for yourself in the inner world, and 10 is when you have it regardless as a bonus. And it's like and it's just it's a beautiful thing because a lot of men and women have to understand this collectively. Like you have to be good about your own energy. You have to be able to know that you don't need anyone to invite you to their own circumstances to be able to make things work. I have another way of abstract philosophy to see this. I call it cursors and prompts. You have to drive yourself as your own cursor towards things sometimes, even as per being a magnet. Because I'll make a video about this later on, like cursor versus magnet. Which one should you be? Probably both. And then magnets being attracting things to you, cursor being driving yourself towards them, and then the prompting is how you choose things even if you don't already act towards them anyways. But prompting is more like selection focus, but you know it doesn't guarantee action, doesn't guarantee attraction, but you but yeah, it's just women tend to be very invitational. They let you into their own world, even if they're also having to care about their survival and their wants and needs and all the other things in those 333 human game. It depends on what their circumstances would imply about that. But I think on the by it's it's human to invite people towards things anyways. But that depends on circumstances. I think it's like I don't want to generalize that too much even then. But it's like I notice that girls and women are very invitational creatures. And beings. They end up making it so that they include you in a certain circumstance and surrounding realm of their energy where they know that you're important for a reason, and even if it's not relevant to them, they can still include you anyways. It's like this is not very specific whatsoever, but so this is one I noticed very invitational. So that was the three of those things. Less headsy, more grateful or very grateful, and invitational. So three things that girls and women do that I love a lot, and that's yeah. This may have been a little bit of a pattern since I made videos about this already about like how lovey dovey I've been getting these last few weeks and months, but I don't mean to dismay myself from some other communities, but that's just how I am right now. So I'll keep it together over time, but yeah, it works. So for the end card, you know what it is. I'm gonna recap it one more time. Girls, women, if you're watching this, I'm just a guy talking on the internet, but I also have a big ego. But ego combines with divine. Ego combines with divine. You don't get rid of ego. Ego death is bullshit. You combine the ego with divine so that when they work together, your human game can be learned from while you still change it. You do both. You primarily change the game only after you learn how to play that game by its own rules before you change those rules.